fight fans. This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunched Boxing News. And as promised, this is the salute to the three kings. Muhammad Ali, Joe Frazier, George Foreman. From the 60s to the 70s, these guys wreaked havoc on the heavyweight division. They showed who they were. They showed their dominance. They showed their potential. And they showed that they were great, legendary fighters. Okay? And this is what we're going to talk about today. And I'm doing my cardio for today. I have received 14,421 steps. I've been at the track most of the day, earlier in the day, in the morning. Been a beautiful day, man. Been breeze. Mama Lou, counterpunch to you. Ariane, Sikander, hello there. Counterpunch. You guys hit that like button. You know, we got to talk about legendary fighters over here. You know, I don't know what it is. It's like, to me, when boxers go out, or even trainers, you know, where are you from, man? Louisiana. But I don't know, something happens, man. It's like you grew up watching people. Emmanuel Stewart. When Emmanuel Stewart died, I cried. Joe Frazier, I cried. Muhammad Ali, I was mortified. I was just mortified. I like, when Muhammad Ali died, I was sitting in my house for like 3 days. I didn't do anything. I didn't go anywhere. I sat in my robe. If you guys can remember, I mean, I did 4 or 5 videos on Muhammad Ali. And this was in 2016. So this was 8 years ago. Okay. Joe Frazier passed, you know, and it was like, you know, liver cancer. So, you know, Ace 99 with the 2 fire emojis in the building. What's up, brother? Big up. And I don't know, man. It's you grow an emotional attachment with fighters, especially legendary fighters. You know, those are legendary fighters. Muhammad Ali was like Bruce Lee in retrospect. So if you were a martial artist when Bruce Lee passed and you were around at the time, that's crazy. That's absolute madness, you know, which I was not. But I was definitely around when Muhammad Ali passed, Joe Frazier passed, George Foreman just recently passed. And it's crazy because it was shocking. It was a shocking thing. It wasn't nothing that, you know, that you expected. You know, I didn't know he was sick. I didn't know any of that. Sometimes people don't want you to know their business, you know. And what you think, boss? The Roop. I don't know. I don't really know what to say about George Foreman. I know other people was notified before it went public, like Mike Tyson. So Mike Tyson just recently put out his showing his homage to George Foreman. You know, Muhammad Ali is love, man. Yep. You know what's crazy though? I'll say this about like Muhammad Ali, what he stood for. He didn't want to go to law. He didn't want to go to war over his religious beliefs. And you hear people like, you hear pastors, preachers, and you know, you got people talking about religion and stuff like that, and you know, and oh well, the Christians are right, nah, the Muslims are right, nah, the Jewish are right, nah. You know, you got all these things and all these people pretty much condemning you to hell. But Muhammad Ali has been a Muslim since what, his 20s? No one never said, well, Muhammad Ali's burning in hell right now. You've never heard that shit. Don't you think that's funny? You've never seen that. I have never seen anyone say, you know what, Muhammad Ali burning in hell right now. I have never heard that. And George Foreman just recently passed. You know, He had a legacy. He had a lot of kids. His name will live for a very long time, you know, because, you know, his kids are all George, even the women, you know. I love you talking about those champions. Derek Coleman, Counterpunch to you. But Derek Coleman, you wouldn't happen to be a Q dog, would you? But no, man, the Three Kings, man, they showed their dominance. And it took each and every one of these guys to make who they are special. Because if you think about the 60s, a lot of shit was going on in the 60s. You know, something that, you know, a lot of us will not ever know unless we're old enough to know. Because, you know, you were there. And you had a lot of division back then. You know, I had a lot of racist, blatant racist shit that needed to be changed. That was changing. That was the reason for the resistance of people wanting it to change versus people that didn't want it to change. And, you know, Muhammad Ali, you had a war. Vietnam War was going on. And Muhammad Ali was looked at as a coward in a lot of people's eyes. They called this man a coward. And if it wasn't for people calling him a coward and them stripping him from the belt and him sitting out of the ring for 4 years of his prime, people. I mean, this is after Sonny Liston. So you got to think about this young man couldn't fight for 4 years because he didn't want to go to another country to bomb people he knew nothing about. Okay? And if it wasn't for that, you would have never knew who Joe Frazier was. Joe Frazier was the replacement. Joe Frazier was this undefeated fighter that was a friend of Muhammad Ali's at the time. You know, back then they called him Clay. Right? David Mick, Counterpunch to you, brother. Love from London. Do you think there will ever be another Three Kings? Daryl Masters. Yeah, of course there will be. There will be Three Kings everywhere. There have already been Three Kings. The last of our era of Three Kings are just really fleeting. Tyson Fury's retired. Deontay Wilder's out the door. Anthony Joshua's pretty much out the door. Yes, the Three Kings. Those were the Three Kings right there. We had Three Kings 20 years ago. Who were they? They were Lennox Lewis. They were Evander Holyfield. And they were Mike Tyson. Those were the Three Kings 30 years ago? Yeah, 25, 30 years ago now. Then they fleeted. So yeah, they're going to be constant Three Kings. These are the original Three Kings that I'm talking about, you know? So back to the story. Joe Frazier was that replacement guy that fought for that vacant title that was stripped from Muhammad Ali, right? And he did his thing. He was a tree chopping, body punching, left hooking, very active fighter that hit like a bazooka. If he hit you with that left hook, good night, people. Good night. And understand, at some point, Muhammad Ali got his license back. Do you know what that means? That means that he had the opportunity to fight for the title. He had the opportunity to show who a real champion was. But honestly, with all of his self-promotion and all of his trash talk, I think he talked a little bit too much, because what he did was he built animosity towards Joe Frazier. Joe Frazier, okay? Joe Frazier and his family, his intermediate family, was ridiculed so much. His kids, you were coming home crying because kids were calling him, you know, his daddy ugly, and because what Muhammad Ali was saying, and then they were reiterating what Muhammad Ali was saying. You know, Bill Keaveney, hey, Mama Lou, how are you? I like your name, Kurt. Appreciate it. I like yours too. Counterpunch. So that built animosity towards Joe Frazier. And when Joe Frazier, in that first fight in 1971, is called The Fight, and it was The Fight, he showed Muhammad Ali what he was made of. He showed Muhammad Ali that he was not a paper champion. He showed Muhammad Ali that, hey, I would have fought you for that belt had I got the opportunity to fight you. After I loaned your ass money, after you needed money because you had none, because you couldn't fight, right? These things, man, these things happen. And 14th round, Joe Frazier caught Muhammad Ali because those legs were starting to play tricks on Muhammad. And he got caught with that left hook. He dropped like a sack of potatoes, but he got up like a warrior. And he comes back in round 15. It was one hell of a fight to see. I'm getting goosebumps just talking about it. You see what I'm saying? Don't forget Norton and Shavers. You can't forget Norton and Shavers. I heard something. You can't forget Norton and Shavers, right? Do you remember the legend Mike Hawk? Nope. So this is what we're dealing with. After Joe Frazier defeated Muhammad Ali, okay? After he defeated Muhammad Ali, here comes George Foreman. George Foreman was afraid of Joe Frazier. And I think the fear made him more weary of the left hook. But he had a game plan for that. The young, strong, cautious Foreman at the time with the afro used his size, used his reach to keep Joe Frazier far enough so he couldn't land that left hook. But in exchange, in return, land his right hands and uppercuts, okay? See, the catch-22, the counter for an uppercut is a left hook, okay? But it's interchangeable, okay? The counter for a left hook is an uppercut, and an uppercut a left hook. See, if you miss a left hook, that uppercut's available. And George Foreman was able to push that left shoulder back, and he pushed it and pressed it and forced Joe Frazier back. And when he got enough space between him and Joe Frazier, he ripped shots with uppercuts, catching Joe, hurting Joe pretty much each and every time. It was an ingenious game plan. That was a game plan, not this shit on the best of exercising, because I think that's what a lot of people do. You know, back then they had game plans, you know? Also got to remember these guys fought 15 rounds as well. None of this 10 or 12 rounds. Yeah? Kurt, now it's nearly over. AJ, Wilder, and Fury really be the three kings? Well, they were. It's just sad that we were in a time, well, you had Frank Warren, Eddie Hearn, Al Heyman, and none of them really worked with each other to show us how and how it's done. You know, they never really had that type of relationship, you know, especially Frank and Eddie at the time. So when those guys were in their primes trying to get shit done, it never got done. Everybody lived in on their own planet, and everybody was just kind of full of themselves, and the fight never got done. Turki Al-Sheikh pretty much came around in the wrong time. You know what I mean? He didn't come in time to get a fight that could be that big happen. Because it would have happened if Turki would have came 3 years before. If Turki Al-Sheikh would have came in 2020, we would have seen Tyson Fury versus Anthony Joshua. Hell, we probably would have seen AJ versus Wilder too. We would have saw those fights, but we didn't. Jack Steele, what up, Kurt? Big up, Jack Steele. We needed Turki in 2020. We did, but we didn't have them. So, yeah, I mean, that's just that, you know? It just is what it is. So, but George destroyed Joe Frazier. Not only did he beat him once, he beat him twice. So guess what? Since George did what he did to Frazier, and Frazier beat Ali. Now it was time, because that was showing who George Foreman was, how dominant he was, how dangerous he was. Look what he did to Smoking Joe. Smoking Joe Frazier was undefeated going into that fight. The punching preacher, absolutely. The legend of the punching preacher. You know, and he wasn't even pastoring yet. He was just a fighter, you know. Oscar here now, counterpunch to you. Everything's good, man. Oscar, everything is good this way. And then Ali comes in, promises, prophesies, proclaims that he's gonna stop Foreman. And that's exactly what he did. Those type of things makes fighters great, because they defy all odds. What people think, and people try to put logic into faith and belief, that's what happens. You know, you'll come up short each and every time. Well, nearly each and every time, because logically, some things that logically happens. But it didn't happen with Muhammad Ali. So those three kings, they're like three puzzle pieces, and they all needed each other. Okay? They all had to come together and to piece together in a special puzzle of time, that what made all of them great. And it wasn't even over. See, George Foreman, and from in 20 years, okay, because it took him 20 years to get back to where he needed to be to even become a champion again. And that's when he was an old man. That dude was my age, people, becoming heavyweight champion of the world. He was older than I am now. Show up, growl, throw punches, and go home. What about Ron Lyle, the fight with George Foreman and him? It was a good fight. Foreman got dropped, you know. Yeah, it is sad when they pass, though. I ain't gonna lie. That shit, that does something to them, man. That does something to me, man. It really does. Because when I heard it, I'm like, ah, oh, shit. You know, it doesn't, you know, because death is so on this earth realm. You know what I mean? It's so final. You know what I mean? The only saving grace when you hear about somebody die, the only way they didn't die is they just didn't die. It was a hoax. That's the only way you hear about someone dies, they just really didn't die. It was a bullshit hoax. And there's a lot of them lately. Man, you heard about so-and-so died? For real? Oh, no, it ain't happened. Oh, I hope that's a lie. Because that's the only thing you hope for as the saving grace. You hope for a lie when you hear about a death. If that makes sense. If you hope for a lie, man, you lying, man. Please don't tell me that shit. Are you for real? Who told you that? So now you're trying to validate. Now you're doing some calling, some texting. You know, you're trying to figure stuff out. You know? That and you hope for that lie when you hear about a death. Just like George Foreman people. You hope for it. And it's bad, man. And you know, I was thinking, man, please don't tell me George. You know, I want to see George because I grew up watching, look, for one, that damn grill. For two, HBO boxing, championship boxing. HBO After Dark. You had George Foreman, Jim Lampley, Larry Merchant. You know, you had Roy Jones. You know, and it's like now it's complete. Now they're all gone. You know? How good do you think Michael Moore was? Michael Moore was very good. You know what I mean? See, here's the thing. Michael Moore couldn't be so bad because of the people he defeated. Michael Moore was in some wars. He was. And I think, honestly, it's not that he had a bad chin. I think he just, at some point, ask Joe Joyce, at some point, your chin becomes exposed. Your chin becomes damaged. You're not able to always take punches in bunches. Even the guys, if you look at the history of time and the history of people with the best chins, eventually that damn chin gave out on them. It's going to do so. When you come up against the right person with the right sledgehammer of a punch, it will give out on you. Someone will crack it eventually. Ask Julio Cesar Chavez, Frankie Randall. Ask Joe Joyce, Zili Zhang. Okay? Those things happen. That chin is not going to always be there. Trust me. I don't give a shit who you are. You can sit there and say, oh man, you got the best chin. Bro, someone's going to crack your shit wide open. And it might not, it might not be this fight or the next fight or even the fight after that, but eventually it's coming. You're going to come across somebody that knows how to punch, that knows where to punch, and he's going to crack that open. Okay? Mayorga. Yeah, well, see, Mayorga was stupid. Mayorga took shots he didn't even have to take. Damn Trinidad and Cotto and De La Hoya. Yeah. And look, Fernando Vargas, it happened to him. Fernando had a very good chin. El Fidos had a very good chin going up. He went up against guys like Winky Wright, guys like Corte, and this is before the Trinidad fight. But eventually, he got in there with somebody like Trinidad that cracked that shit wide open. And then after that, he was never the same fighter. And no disrespect to Fernando Vargas. You know what I mean? No disrespect to him. But the thing is, you have a certain amount of punches that you can take before your chin is compromised. Okay? Now, probably Triple G probably has the best chin of all time. I ain't gonna lie. But even I seen him hurt from Deverenchenko. But it wasn't to the chin, it was to the body. Aha! See, he got caught to the body and he stopped. And I never seen Triple G get hurt like that until he went up against the IBF champion at the time, Deverenchenko. That same IBF belt that was stripped from him because he didn't want to fight Deverenchenko to keep the damn thing. So he didn't even become undisputed at middleweight, trying to chase another Canelo fight like an idiot, knowing his old ass was going to get robbed against someone that they're constantly marketing to be the top superstar. You're not going to win a decision. If you couldn't win a decision last time, what do you think a closer fight is going to do for you? It's not. Leading with your chin makes for a short career. Yep. Yeah, Triple G probably has the best chin ever. Because I haven't seen anyone to crack his shit. I just seen him just get old. You know what I mean? He just got old. But it wasn't because he got in a war. But understand, Triple G was a very underrated boxer. He was a very underrated boxer. People forget that. People forget that Triple G can box his ass off. What is it? 382 amateur fights with only 5 losses? Is it 382? Somebody check that for me. What was Triple G's Olympic record? 382 and 5? Yo, just jumped on. How long you been on, bro? Been on 23 minutes, bro. Tony Lyons in the building, counterpunch to you. Kurt, Ray Mercer had a great chin. He did have a great chin. What was Triple G's amateur record? Was it 382 and 5? Somebody fact check it. And I knew Triple G was a very good boxer instead of just this powerhouse, I'm coming to get you guy. No, he showed how good of a boxer he was against guys like David Lemieux. Hagler liked to bust eye sockets and swell up. He said once, if you can't see, you ain't hitting me. 23. Wow, time flies when you're having fun. Yeah, Ben Tacky. Yeah, he had a good chin too. I remember Ben Tacky. Yeah, that Ghanaian fighter. Yeah, I remember him. I sure do remember him. Yeah, Chuvalo had a good chin too, man. Yeah, Oliver McCall had a good chin too. He just was, you know. But yeah, George Foreman, I think, had a better chin than he did later on, and I think the layoff helped him. I think the layoff really helped him. My son is away for 5 days on school trip, and I'm lost, so I'm gonna now driving a 3-hour trip. Okay. Oh, 23 minutes. I meant to write. Okay. No problem. Okay. All right, I'm at 16,000 steps. Mark Power. Hello from Ireland. Counterpunch to you. What part? What part of Ireland? Be a boxer, not a fighter. Yeah? See, sometimes in boxing matches, fight breaks out. That's not, a fight necessarily in a boxing match at all. You see good exchanges in boxing matches because people fight, and it's crazy because a normal fight only lasts you 15 to 30 seconds, tops. You're not going to fight like that, Having a good chin is more a perk than anything to be best at. I don't know. It's good to have, but if I had to choose out of a chin and stamina, probably be stamina. You just have to focus on not getting hit as hard or as much, or avoid certain shots, and that takes discipline and practice, because just having a good chin, you can gas out, and it ain't gonna matter how good your chin is. If you can't keep up with someone, you're going to collapse just due to exhaustion. Yeah. I'd take stamina all day. Hell yeah. Having a good chin. No, that means just somebody, you get tired, you're not going to move much. If you guys ever sparred, like if I spar right now, I could probably go 2 or 3 rounds, maybe. And then I'm out of breath. I'm gagging for air and everything. But I promise you this, after 3 rounds, throw me in there with somebody that hasn't been, that's fresh, that knows what the hell they're doing. They're going to beat the shit out of me because I have no stamina. I'm going to try to throw shots, probably 1 shot every 10 seconds, maybe, if that. And me just having a good chin, that doesn't matter. 345 and 5. Thank you, Bill. Appreciate you. I don't know where I got 382 for him. But 345 amateur wins, 5 losses. Better to have great defense than a good chin. A lot of chin guys are punch drunk right now. Yeah. And a lot of them don't have good defense anyway. And therefore they lose fights because they get hit too much. Damn their chin. Oh, I took everything. He couldn't stop me though. Okay. But he beat your ass every round. Great. Good for you. You need stamina for the bedroom too, bro. Hell yeah. You better believe it. Hell, you better believe it. You better not be a slouch. You better not be a slouch, bro. You find your girl missing. You find her missing. What do you think about the new boxing organization that's going to start by Dana White? I think it needs improvement, and I think it's cluttering the sport. Because it's like this. It's either it's coming to replace something or it's coming to add to. And now we hear that it's adding to the sport of boxing. It's not going to help you much. I'm sorry, it's not going to help you much. It's going to add more bullshit to what we already have. You know what I mean? And look, who is on their way out right now? Al Heyman's still around with a couple fighters. But he's probably the closest one to leaving the sport, but he's still kind of lingering around. So maybe those PBC guys will jump on that if they want to fight. You know what I mean? But they may not want to fight because those guys are not accustomed to fighting. Those PBC guys are not accustomed to fighting. They fight every year or so, every 2 years or some shit like that. And then they expect these big purses because they knew they haven't worked and haven't fought in a long time. Who's taking care of their asses? You don't see them out working at Starbucks or Walmart. You know, a lot of them are used to, you know. Yeah, Jay, you see me live? Yeah, they don't push. Yeah, YouTube don't push shit. And I haven't done a lot of videos today. I might have done 2, maybe 3. So, you know, I'm just going to start posting my content. If they post it, they post it. If they promote it or they push it or whatever. Hopefully you guys will see it when you guys get to the channel to look at it. That's the beauty of subscribers. But don't expect YouTube to do jack shit for you. Unless you have endorsements or something like that. YouTube, I've noticed that. And I don't do a lot of shorts like that. So there you go. Because it's a lot that, Norm, you guys know me, man. I post 5 or 6 videos normally a day. That's my norm, you know? And then they're saying, oh, we're only going to send out notifications for 3 videos every 24-hour period. It would be different if it was 12 hours. So that gives you the opportunity to cover different people in the sport with different content. But, you know, I can't tell someone how to do their job. If they either know how to do it or they don't. And I don't think they do. So that's just my opinion, me counterpunching YouTube. Because, you know, whatever they used to be, that's how they should go back to being. You know? So, because it was never like this. We got 40 people on here. Do you know what it was like to do a random live? 150 people, 170 people, a random live. Fight night, 5, 6,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 people are online. That's a normal night. Now, because people see what they're doing, they're putting lives on shorts, you know, which I guess it's okay, but I don't know, man. I don't know. It's someone always tries to be smart and change shit about something that was never broke. It really grinds my gears. But hey, what do? You know? This boxing organizer that Dana White will start, it will have the poorest boxers ever. Yeah, there'll be some piss poor boxers you never heard of. Hopefully they can drag some stars from that particular platform that we can compare to. But here's the thing. I think what's going to happen, listen, wait and watch, people. The minute that they make and create that organization and they establish those fighters on that organization boxing league, the WBC, the WBA, the WBO, and the IBF, they're going to blackball all of them. They're going to snatch that shit off of they're going to snatch all those guys off their rankings. So they won't even be a part of that. And that's what's going to happen. That's going to be a separate bullshit league, and it's going to be by itself on its own island. And it's going to suck because then people will have to choose. Man, I don't even fight nobody on the WBC or any of the alphabet belts because I'm with the Dana White and Turkey Al Sheikh Boxing League. That type of shit. It's going to happen. And it's going to suck. It's not going to help anybody. It's going to help the people that fight on that particular network. And not one of these guys are getting $1 million a fight. That's the bad part. None of them are. I think the Rumble in the Jungle is one of the most iconic boxing fights ever. Yeah, Rumble in the Jungle. Yeah, that fight was near death. Those guys were close to dying, bro. Hope this won't make go watch tennis. Skrilla 50 in the building. What's up, brother? Counterpunch to you. That's what I'm saying. The UFC doesn't allow cross-promotion fights. There will be a promotion belt, and it will probably suck. Hopefully, it doesn't go that way. It will. Because Dana White's structuring it based on how he knows how to structure stuff. So guess what? That's how he's going to structure boxing. He's going to make boxing like UFC, and it's going to suck. Look at those piss poor ass amounts that they're giving those fighters. 700 and what is it? What is it for the defending belt? It's like 600,000 or some shit like that. It's not even $1 million. And they're not even giving perks. At least UFC had perks. When you knock someone out, you get like so much money for bonuses or something. We would soon have an over 75 categories in boxing. Yeah, you're gonna have that. You're gonna have Al Heyman shit. You're gonna have, you know, the UK connection. You're gonna have the Frank Warren, Eddie Hearn, Ben Shalom, because Ben Shalom's with Boxer, but I think he's still on with Sky Sports, I believe. I want to say. Or is it one of those networks? But yeah, the boxing league, it's going to be shit. Watch. It's going to be shit. I'm going to watch it. You know what I mean? Because it gives opportunity for fighters that want to fight. Opportunity, so be it. You know? Hell, some of these boxers get too much money anyway, I think. Right? Grow stars from the ground up. Yeah. So, I mean, hey, I'm going to watch it. I'm going to promote it. Why not? It would be bigger if they were going to do something more revolutionary, like snatch up those alphabet belts and make them all give up. Buy them all out, make them give up, make those fighters fight for one belt and one league. Worldwide boxing league, that's what they need. Not nationwide. This should be bigger than the NBA or the NFL or the NLB. This should be bigger than all of that stuff. That's what it should be. It should be bigger than all of that. But they're not going to do that. Franklin is missing out on the big purses in Saudi. Well, Franklin's done his thing. He got some thousands in the bank. He might have a couple mil. So somebody that used to work at a steel mill or wherever kind of mill he works at, people, and now he has a couple million in the bank fighting Joshua and Dillian White in some good fights. And he beat an undefeated guy the last time I know him fight. And he just fought in his hometown. He's doing well, bro. Don't worry about Franklin. Franklin came up from fighting some of the best fighters in the UK. Or some of the top known fighters in the UK. Should I say? That's better to say. Because they're not the damn best. Because Joshua just got knocked out. And Dillian White, you know, we haven't seen him since, what, 2020? Well, we seen him last year fight Teta. But, I mean, you can tell he's not nearly where he was, but he's made his money. Franklin's made his money, bro. Don't worry about Franklin. You know, I believe boxers deserve their pay. Footballers get paid too much. Well, I know that they're probably being lowballed. Those fight purses are bullshit, you know. But hey, it's a standard, you know, so they're making their standard. You know, it's like, hey, roll with it or don't. Stay with the alphabet guys and see how good that works for you. And then you'll see someone jump ranks, you know. You'll see some bullshit the IBF just pulled. Why is Derek Chisora? And that's going to be the next live stream chat. Why is Derek Chisora number one? What do you think about the fight between Usyk versus Artur Beterbiev? You think it will happen? No. I don't. I believe boxers deserve their... Okay, we already got that. College students getting more NIL money than what Dana White is proposing in this pay scale. Yeah, it's shitty. Jay, yes, it divides it even more. It divides it even more. That's what it does. That's what it's doing. So it is what it is. You know? That's all I'm going to say about it, guys. But the Three Kings, man, the original Three Kings, there will never be another. Look, you can't beat the original. And Muhammad Ali, George Foreman, Joe Frazier are the original Three Kings. Shaq, what's up, Shaq? Counterpunch to you. I'm good, Bill, and you. Chisora in line for a shot. Say it ain't so. Yeah. But that's going to be the topic for tomorrow. So stay tuned for that, guys. I'm gonna jump off of here while I'm reaching 18. Yeah, I just reached 18,000 steps. So I'm doing pretty good. Had a good cardio day today. Still got some gym workout in, so I feel good, man. Had a pretty good day overall. But I'm gonna work on some content, you know, get some stuff done, and I will see you guys. Wait a minute. Hold on, let me see. Let me answer a couple more, man. JD, how are you coping with George Foreman's grieving? You know what? I think I'll feel better when the funeral's over. You know, I think I'll go live. I don't know how much I could do for the funeral. I don't know if I could, you know, not really a funeral guy, but I'll feel better. Because I remember when Muhammad Ali died, he had a huge funeral. I mean, everybody was there at Muhammad Ali's funeral. So I'll feel better when that's over. You know what I mean? Bara Elohim, counterpunch to you. But anyway, guys, be blessed, be safe. See you guys live tomorrow. I'll set a time. 3 p.m. is good. Is 3 p.m. Central Time good for everybody? Because that's 9 in the UK in some parts. And of course, it's 4 p.m. on the East Coast. And it's like 2 p.m. on the Pacific Standard Time. You know? So I'm gonna go for 3 p.m. tomorrow. And let's talk about good old Derek Warchisora. But anyway, you guys be blessed, be good, and everyone has been counterpunched. Peace!